In this video, I want to go over how to write essay 1. So essay 1 is the essay of praise, and your prompt for this is to write on someone you know who has either had a positive impact on you or on others. So to write this essay, you're going to have to find someone in your life who has definitely inspired you or made a big influence on your life. And this should be someone that you know and have a personal relationship with. So to help you get started on thinking of who that person might be, I've given you a few memory joggers. So maybe think about family or close friends, perhaps someone from your childhood like a teacher, maybe a person you've worked with, or someone in leadership like a boss or coach or pastor. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video and think for a few minutes of at least 3 or 4 different people who you might write this essay on. And then when you've done that, come back and hit play. So once you've come up with your list of 3 or 4 people, I want you to narrow it down to the one person who you feel you could say the most about, or maybe even the person who you feel you know the best, because that will make it easier for you to write. So once you've picked that one person, ask yourself this question: how did this person have a positive impact on my life or on someone else's life? And come up with 3 examples of how that person did that. And you need at least 3 for your paper. So once you've brainstormed that and done that, go ahead and come back to this video and hit play. So now that you have your 3 examples, I'm going to go into how do you turn those 3 examples into your paper. So for most academic essays, there's a basic format called the 5-paragraph essay. And all academic essays have 3 parts to them, which is an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. And in the 5-paragraph essay, you have 1 introduction paragraph, 3 body paragraphs, and then a conclusion paragraph. So each body paragraph deals with a different argument. So that would be like what you just came up with, your 3 examples. The first one could be 1 paragraph, the second another paragraph, and the third a third paragraph. So for your introduction paragraph, we've talked about introductions in chapter 5 of your textbook, and that's where you learned about thesis sentences and plan of development sentences. So remember, the thesis sentence gives the main idea of the whole paper. The plan of development sentence gives an outline of what the next 3 paragraphs in the paper will talk about. So think of it this way: this sentence is telling you what these 3 paragraphs are about. So essentially, in that plan of development sense, you're going to be summarizing these 3 examples in 1 sentence. To help you write your thesis, I've given you a little template you can use, where you would basically just say the name of the person, and then you can say something like, has a positive impact on my life because of, and then you list the 3 reasons. So right there, this part is kind of like your plan of development. You can have your thesis and plan of development in the same sentence. That's called a simple thesis sentence. So here could be an example. My mother had a positive impact on my life because of her selfless sacrifice, her steadfast walk with the Lord, and her high standards. So right there, this is an example of a simple thesis where you state the point of the paper along with your outline or your plan of development. For the body paragraphs, our textbook talked about this in chapter 8, and this is what you were practicing a bit in exercises 1, 3, and 4 this week. Your body paragraph is what makes up most of your essay, and there's a lot that goes into a body paragraph. It has to focus on one idea or one example. It needs to provide support that relates back to the thesis and proves the thesis true. So in this paper, you're trying to prove and show that this person did have a positive impact on your life. That body paragraph needs to have its own topic sentence. And the body paragraph also needs to have an explanation where you explain how the evidence in that paragraph relates to the thesis and shows the thesis is true. So in other words, you have to explain your evidence. You can't just give your example or evidence and assume the reader will automatically understand how that relates to your thesis. So to give you some more help for body paragraphs, you can view additional videos if you go under the assignment 1 link. So if you go to our course page, go to assessments, assignments, and then scroll down to where it says Argument of Essay Week 1. You'll see all the information for Essay 1 here. In fact, I would click on the little link here that says here, and it'll take you to the full assignment sheet with the full prompt with all the information that you need. And then for additional information on how to write body paragraphs, you can watch these videos, the meal plan, which I sent out earlier in the week, and then the feedback on exercise 3, which I just sent out a little while ago. All right, so the last type of paragraph we haven't talked about yet is conclusion. So the conclusion paragraph is kind of like the bookend to the introduction paragraph. It has a similar function. What you do in the conclusion paragraph is summarize and restate what you already said in your paper in a more condensed fashion. And your goal is to sort of emphasize the most important information and the most important ideas that you said in your paper and repeat them so that your reader knows what those important ideas are. So in a conclusion, you never, ever, ever want to introduce new information. That's not the purpose of the conclusion paragraph. So for the conclusion, a good practice to do is ask yourself these 2 questions, and this will help you focus in on what the big ideas are that you should be writing on in your conclusion. Those are, what do you want your reader to remember after reading your paper? And what do you want your reader to take away from the topic? So maybe what do you want your reader to learn from this person that you're writing about? All right, so after you have these 5 paragraphs in your paper, the last step you need to do is just go through and make sure you have transition words between your paragraphs that help link all of the paragraphs together and all of your ideas together. And then, of course, proofread. Look for spelling and punctuation, and definitely make sure to check for the comma splices, run-ons, and fragments that we learned about in our textbook this week. And a little tip to help you spot all these grammar things is to read your paper out loud. Reading out loud kind of slows us down and helps us spot more of those errors than if we just sort of quickly skim through our paper on our screens. The vast majority of the time, if you are skimming, you are not going to catch those errors. So you really do have to slow down and read a little more slowly. Maybe even have someone read the paper with you. So those right there are the steps that you need to go through to write your first essay in the class. If you have any questions, please reach out to me over the weekend.